It's right. Yeah, we're live. Free Swaziland movement here. Right, Maswati. It's been happening the whole week. We've all seen what's been happening since last week. Right, Free Swaziland movement here. Molly Jacob. I'm also the host of Hot Seat. Monte, Mr. Monty Nkosi, the GNU gentleman, the GNU man is with us today. We are promising with every week starting to tell information on the government of national unity. We are testing this as test number 2. Monty, could you just greet the Swazi people? They're actually sleeping right now, and you and I are working in the middle of the night.
Yeah, hey, sanibonani Maswati. Siyanivusela. Molly is in UK. I'm in the USA. So I want people to know sometimes the Maswati ayahlanganisa. Kuthi there's USA, United States of America, and there's United Kingdom. Like phethe khona Nkosi Prince Charles. Mina ngiphethwe ngu-Biden la-America. So kunemehluko bekunene. Enemanye engilandi mina ngiwela lwandle. Across the Atlantic Ocean. It takes me about 8 hours from Washington, D.C. to United Kingdom, where Molly is. I'm planning on going to London to meet Molly because we've never, and Kauzela, Kauzela, everybody, all the progressives in London, I want to meet and talk to them, and so that we meet each other personally. Because sometimes I think we don't understand each other working remotely, especially the others who are not used to, I guess, how we operate internationally.
Yeah.
But Molly gets it. I get it because we've been here for a while. And I mean, I've worked for companies and I've never met the people. I worked for a company in San Francisco as a senior accountant, and I never met a single soul. And I work with people across the globe. And we met, and I felt like I knew them because we would meet here and have meetings through both Zoom and that sort of thing. So, it's possible to work together across continents and do things very effectively. In fact, in a way, it's an advantage because the technology is so advanced now. We can hold meetings with people from all across the globe. When ANC, when they were fighting, they never had those opportunities. They never had those resources. So now we do. So we can work as a collective force as Swazis remotely. I don't have to be in Swaziland. One, I don't have to be in Swaziland to understand what's going on in Swaziland. That's the mistake Swazis make. Right here. I mean, I go on Facebook and I see all kinds of posts on Swaziland and what's happening. And people are live streaming. So I see sometimes live things going down on the ground in Swaziland. So the technology allows us to do this. I don't need people to tell me how my mother is doing. I can talk to her right here and look at her and see how she's doing. So, we need to, really embrace the new technology. It's going to help us in this movement to free Swaziland. Bomswati, that's why they shut down. They shut down the internet because they know how effective and powerful the tool it is. But Maswati, they've not come to embrace it and use it very effectively, push this movement forward. Yeah, I would like to hear from Kauzela. Angshayele live. Hey, Monty, how you doing? How's it going? What should we be doing? Okay, or me call him and say, what should we be doing? You see, you see, guns, we've got these tools. We can communicate across continents. Thank you.
Yeah, on that note, I wanted to touch on the fact that Solimo declined the offer to work with us. I think some of the reasons today they had a live, yesterday they had a live stream, and I think what Solimo was complaining about is the fact that we can't keep secrets. Sort of like whatever we did with them, we all of a sudden go and expose it. Especially, I think they were referring to you because I know you are straight on. You don't beat around the bush. You just went on after the meeting that we had with them, and you really spoke your mind. You said how you feel. So, do you think when it comes to, do you think that's a good excuse? Do you think them saying, "Oh, is the GNU a hidden agenda? Are we not supposed to form the GNU in a democratic country? The GNU is not something that you hide, and no one should be persecuted for even mentioning the government of national unity." We've seen Julius Malema a few months ago mentioning, was okay, he's going to shut down the country, and if things don't change with ANC, he will, or try because he will form a government of national unity. He was not arrested for even mentioning that.
Yeah.
Eswatini ikhona enye democracy. Why would Nkosi leave arrest people?
No,
Because
good. They keep talking about their monarchical democracy, but it's BS, as you know, as we all know. Makositive is determined that's why there will never be democracy in Swaziland, because that's going to be his demise. So he knows that democracy means the end of King Mswati rule in Swaziland. And so he's going to fight democracy, advocates. But Swazis don't understand that we have powers that be on this planet Earth who promote democracy, like European Union and United States. So you have to go where the support is. Like the government of national unity of Myanmar, they just presented a request to the United States Appropriations Committee to say, hey, look, we need 500 million US dollars. Okay? So now we don't have money in Swaziland. But if we form the government of national unity, then we have the power and we're going to get the attention from the powers that be. Kuthi okay, Swaziland are united. Ngeke banike amancozincozi, banike Gawuzela noma banike iSwalimo noma banike iPhudemo, or you see, they want people who are showing readiness to govern, who are going to show a roadmap. We're all working together as Swazis. We want change. Then you're going to see the response. And also, it's not just the US government. There are entities here that work on democracy in Africa. Democracy Now, there are several of them that fund democracy activists across the globe. Right now, we've got people in South Africa who are desperate. They can't pay their rent. They can't afford food. So if we become a GNU and we start presenting a formidable issue on Swaziland, then you're going to see the support, which is why the United States ambassador asked the people who came, the Swazi people, what was it, 100,000 of them? I can't
I think
remember
it
how
was
many.
five. I don't know, but it was 50,000. I'm not sure, but it was quite a lot of
There's quite a
Swazis.
lot. I can't remember the exact number,
Yeah.
but it was a sizable number. They went to the United States Embassy, which was a good move, but they didn't know how to follow through. And they didn't know because they don't understand the international community and the expectations. They want a structured way forward that also is comprehensive as far as Swazi society. This is why when you see even as SADC, they come and address the king. They don't speak to the progressives because they are all over the place and they are not showing readiness to govern. So that's the weakness in Swaziland. The Swazis don't understand how the world operates and what the expectations are. The United States ambassador was asking that question to gauge the seriousness of the Swazis. And they failed to answer a critical question. How are you going to run the government? And all the formations now are talking about having a dialogue with the king. You see? And then they say, you know what? Let's step back. We can't intervene. The Swazis love their king. This is why I discourage Bukawuzela to keep saying, we want a prime minister. We just want a prime minister. Because it means you acknowledge that you have a king and you want the king to remain in a position of power to do whatever he wants to do. And he's not going to be challenged criminally or civilly. So you're saying King Mswati must get away with all these crimes against humanity. So, and you're saying Swazis have no right to pick representation and vote for their own leaders. So you want to be given a leader like children You see?
Can I just pitch in I think the way forward for Swalimo is an elected prime minister with executive powers. Is that possible?
Okay, clearly Mswati does not want that. Mswati is above the law. You cannot challenge him. He's above the constitution. So you cannot challenge him. And then as Swazis, you don't have leverage. There's no one who can apply pressure on King Mswati. Mina gave
Okay,
Swaz an example.
but
We've got
when you say leverage, what do you mean? If you can break it down so that Maswati can understand, because
a position of power where you can squeeze Mswati to make him do what you want. Like South Africans, they had leverage from the United States because the civil rights community, along with Congress and Senate, they were able to use a tool called the Comprehensive Act of 1986. That is what effectively, brought the white South African government to its knees. So in Swaziland, you have nothing. Swazis wanted to have a political negotiated settlement with King Mswati. And like Pudemo, they ran to Namibia. But they could not force Mswati to come and sit down and talk to them because there's no pressure on King Mswati. In dialogue, typically it's requested by the oppressor when he feels the pressure. Because there's no absolute...
Monty, can you just say that very slowly so that even those who don't understand, I mean, can you say it so that even a child in grade 1 could understand? Because we have leaders who sort of don't understand what you just said.
They don't get it. Okay. Leverage. Okay. You do not negotiate, especially power, from a weak standpoint. Because when the other party you're trying to negotiate with has the maximum power and you don't, so literally it means we are begging for your freedom. And there's no absolute dictator or leader that will voluntarily give up absolute power without any pressure on him. So right. Mswati, like right now, Swaziland begging for a prime minister. And Mswati just went and picked his own prime minister because he can get away with it. SADC is not going to force Mswati to go to the table and address the people of Swaziland.
Can you, Monty, please, thank you so much for really clarifying. I hope you guys are listening at home. Because Monty has said this like more than 50 times. Yeah. And I always like him to spell it out because it's like we have people...
they don't understand.
No, they do understand. They will have to understand because they pick and choose. That's why I want you to try and say it in Isiswati. Yeah. I know you've said it in English and it's so simple.
Yeah. Ngeke makhosetive ahlale nani phasi etafuleni. Kude futhi lo ngamfuqa. Ngoba kude lo nemandla ukuthi angabamba makhosetive ngengane amhlalisa etafuleni. Bantu abanemandla balamelika. Who can force him, as they've done, like Haiti. Bachelor Jean Petron has stated, we're giving you 1 day. And if you don't, we'll bring in the F-16s and we'll bring in the military to remove you forcefully. Those are the only people on planet Earth, as well as the European Union, who can do that, who can apply the maximum pressure on Swat. There are 4 senators in the United States who have given Makosetive a stern warning. And the reason they did is because somebody like Makila James, the former United States ambassador, went and presented a solid case to them. So we've got friends like that here. But we need to show the readiness to govern. We need to collaborate across the globe, see as Swazis, and come and show Kutsu were ready to take over this government. That's when they were going to apply pressure on Makosetive. The reason again, one Butambasad, Kutsu ndalithatha njani lelive, niliphathe njani, bahluleka kuphendvula. So bayabona ukuthi no abasi serious labantu. So abafaka umfutho, ngeke bafaka umfutho. Sina singakakhombisi. Ukuthi deliver silithatha silibhekesele. Ngoba abathandi le mvelo yenteka la when they get behind certain people. Bese labantu labo they are not organized. The Libya doesn't are worse, like what happened in Libya. They
Yeah,
supported
Monty,
Ethiopian,
Mr. Monty, can you check your network? I think your volume just went. I don't
just
know.
went down.
Yeah,
I
I might was going
don't
to.
know. I don't know why it went down.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, it's better. Okay, I think it's where I placed my fingers.
Yeah, yeah. Don't. Can you put it on a stable thing, sort of? So
Tried
and
it before. I've never
and
been
don't
able. I
worry,
need
you're
to buy.
live. I don't want you standing up and people seeing your bits because you're live.
I
Right.
need to. Yeah, I need to get a stand where I can just place it.
No, you're right. You're right. You're fine. I can hear you. So,
Yeah.
so much. Because the thing is, one of the other questions that came up, I didn't actually watch the whole live session, family meeting. Was that uh, Gauzela? Well, President Gauzela said that he's actually protecting the people in Swaziland, ESwatini. But I know we had a meeting and he didn't attend the meeting. He sent his
Yeah.
delegation to come. And I feel like they did not give him a proper feedback on what we discussed
Yeah.
because we did mention that nobody in Swaziland will form the government of national unity,
Yeah.
and anyone
Yeah.
who wants to form it will have to leave and calculate it cost and live in
Yeah.
exile.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
that's
it's
one of the
very simple.
reasons.
It's very simple. Myanmar has a government of national unity in exile. South Africa was a government of was a government in waiting in exile. So you have to look at the precedents and what has been done across the globe. Gauzela is in London. Monty is in the United States. Molly is in the United Kingdom. Mlungis Makanya is in South Africa.
Well,
Those who are interested in Swaziland, they have to move out. Because, yeah, you obviously cannot, because you'll be charged with treason inside Swaziland. But we are outside, a good majority of us. IP is in South Africa. All these people are in South Africa. They're in London. They're here in the United States. They're in Canada. They're in New Zealand. They're in Australia. Those are the people who need to form the GNU. And those who want to join the GNU, because once we have a GNU, we'll get the funding from the international community and we'll be able to bring other sources out. Just look at South Africa, the ANC, they were out all over the world. They were in exile. They were in Zambia. They were in the United States. They were in Great Britain. That's how it happens. If you want to be free, then those who are inside Swaziland, they will realize, okay, I'm a leader. I want to really help push. They will come outside. And when they come outside, Jad Kauzela is in London. And he came out. And he can apply for political asylum and live in Great Britain and eventually get into the system and work and make an income or work full time in the GNU and raise funds and approach those businesses and those people and pro democracy organizations in Great Britain and here in the United States. Then it becomes easier because the money will come in. Because now we're showing a unified government of national unity. So you have to understand, Myanmar is applied for 550 million US dollars. They're all outside. They're in the United Kingdom, they're here in the United States, and they have offices because they've got the funding. They've got some type of funding from a lot of these countries, including the United States. In fact, United States, there are members of Congress who are talking about supporting them militarily. So that's how you make your power moves. But you can't do that if you're just doing prayer meetings and you're praying and you're doing family meetings. You have to bring it on. Gauzela right now should be talking to the members of parliament in Great Britain and taking all the pro-democracy advocates in London who are Swazis to present formal cases to the parliament in Great Britain, and then fly over with the delegation to the United States. That's how you make your power moves. You make your connections. That's what ANC was doing. ANC used to come here and talk to Congress and talk to Senate and talk to all these people, knocking on doors.
Mr. Monty, I'm not sure about the volume here. We and then the first time when we started, everything was clear.
Yeah.
And you're really coming up with very valid points that are very
Yeah.
important that every Swazi should listen to because
Yeah.
Monty, I'm so sorry, we'll be going over and over and over this thing every week until ESwatini get it, because when it was announced today that people needed to be safe, and in my mind I was like, okay, does that mean?
No, Gauzela does not have an international perspective. He just came out of Swaziland and is in London. He does not understand how things work internationally. Okay? Because if he did, he's been there now for quite some time. He would have been approaching the players and bringing together the Swazis. In fact, he's the most popular leader right now in Swaziland. He should be leading the efforts to create the GNU. So
And,
he's
that,
not
and
protecting, he's in exile. So
that's, I think that's what to the viewers who are listening to us, I think I wanted to nail that point, because I heard it
yeah,
that, or people were not safe and that they're putting their people first, and we're not saying that people shouldn't come first, but what came into my mind was, oh, is it better to be poor and safe? Or I mean, that's basically what it's like. Okay, it's okay, you stay there, just be safe and suffer.
yeah.
That's the message that I thought was,
No,
that
what Gazella, they don't understand. He's in exile. IP is in exile. Martin is in exile. Gavin McFadden is in exile. Molly is in exile. Sue
I'm
is in Canada in exile. You see, all these people are Swazis.
Monty,
And then the other thing they don't understand is that once also we start talking to the civil rights community, people like Jesse Jackson, people like Randa Robinson, who helped me with the Free South Africa movement, those people, you start to engage them here and they apply the pressure on the US government. That is how South Africa got their freedom. Because you start now, you're outside. We are conversating with the civil rights community in the United States, the civil rights community in Great Britain, and they're encouraging the pro-democracy organizations to fund the Free Swaziland movement. Okay, so that's how these things work. But Kauzela, they're fixated on just Swazis and Swazis at home.
yeah,
No,
because
we'll get the funding and we'll be able to bring those people out to come here and join the movement with us.
to join the formation of the
To
government of
join the formation, the government of national unity. We'll bring them out of the country. What did ANC do? They went to Zambia, and that's where they had their base. Then they opened offices in Canada, United States, Great Britain, France, all those countries. They had offices and they had operatives on the ground in all those countries. And that's how they were able to raise a lot of money to bring in more people outside. The lady I went to visit, she was Nelson Mandela's bodyguard. I went to visit in Knoxville, Tennessee. You see? I was in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's the bodyguard of Nelson Mandela. She lived all over the world, funded by the ANC because of the money that they raised. And when South Africa became free, she became one of the military generals for Nelson Mandela. A young South African, last year. That's how these things happen. You have to look at precedents. Not still Maswati are in danger in Swaziland. No, we're scattered all across the globe.
So Monty, are you saying that because we did on the meeting we mentioned that it's only those who are outside and those who want to come outside,
and those
obviously
who want to come outside, exactly.
it's
The
not
Swazi
people who are inside.
activists, I mean, I know many Swazi activists who'd love to come outside, and push. That's what's going to happen. So, on the outside, we'll start it, and then we'll recruit more members from inside Swaziland, those who are really, really serious about the struggle. So now you don't have to worry about where your money will come from. Okay?
So
you don't have to worry. Yeah.
So do you think because another thing we were asked to it was mentioned on the meeting that have we spoken to other political parties and other members?
We've spoken to all the political formations in Swaziland, all of them. We didn't just speak to
CPS. There's a party called CPS, and can I just pitch in that Mlungisi Makhaya has been accused. There's a lot of allegations against him, and where by the Solidarity Forces. So I'm not even sure whether Podemo is still going to exist after this. They have to restructure. and all that.
Eish.
And
Yeah, it's a
and
mess.
and you know, with MSF as well, you know, we had a meeting with MSF about the
Yeah.
GNU. They haven't come back to us, you know, remember, a month
Yes.
ago. They have not come back to us since. And Stella's been accused, obviously, to work with Mlungisi Makanya. So MSF is basically Pudem, according to what I hear.
Yeah, it is
MS,
Pudemo. I mean, I've
yeah,
always
so
maintained it.
exactly.
It's their tool they were making to think they're going to do a political negotiated settlement using
Yeah.
MSF
So
and PPA.
so there's a lot that's going on because of the revelations that were said out, or came out by
Yeah,
what's this guy, that Luis Makanya has been doing this. Instead of using the solidarity forces to fight for the Swazi people, he used it against the MDM, the people who are fighting for democracy. So we don't
yeah.
know where. There's a
The
lot of
problem
innocent
with Mlung's
crisis.
Makanya, like I say, these Pudemo guys, they copy paste from ANC. ANC, they've been gunning their own people down. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah, I
They're
saw
fighting for
Jacob
positions of
Zuma.
power. They're fighting for positions of power. They want to control every institution in South Africa. And with corruption, nothing moves forward. This is why South Africa has no power today, because of the
Yes.
ANC. This is the reason all the parastatals are failing today in South Africa, because the cadre deployment, which I'm telling Swazis we need to be very careful about. We need subject matter experts to run all organizations and to run our government. Subject matter experts who are educated and trained and have experience and a record of accomplishments, who are going to work on day one and know exactly what to do. If I put somebody at SEP, I'm going to put someone who's an electrician, who's an engineer, electrical engineer, who understands and has worked. If I'm going to put somebody in finance, we need a finance guru, finance accounting guru that has worked, preferably international organizations. Not that I'm presenting myself, any other candidate. If you're going to put somebody, as a minister of health, you want someone who has a track record. We've got people like Dr. Kolani, who led the fight against COVID here in the United States. He's a Swazi, educated here. It doesn't matter that he was educated by Makosetive here, but he lives here in America, he's in California, and people like that, those are the people that we need in positions of power and authority,
Yeah.
people who have expertise. So they must stop pushing this cadre deployment. Mlungis Makanya is a cadre and he operates just like ANC to put out hits on people and all that nonsense. We don't need that in Swaziland.
So do you think, because if Mlungisi Makhanya's got his own gang, do you see Pudemo surviving this Milama allegations lawa ngoba they're terrible, and also kunabo Wandile Ludlu, kunabo Penwell Malinga, Msweli,
Yeah,
whatever
they
Masuku.
are a big problem, which is why you see the rise of Kauzela. Swazis have more respect for Kauzela than Putemo. His numbers have been going up and up and up and up and up. Because Swazis, Minaj is a Swazi. You know, when my mother was telling me what Putemo is doing, that's when I started watching them very closely, some of the things they were doing. My mother is NNLC, and she was she was telling me some of the allegations, what Putemo is doing, and how they want to control everything on the ground in Swaziland, and how they sabotage other organizations. So, Mina, that's why I started talking the way I talk about Putemo and seeing their materialism. Mangibona nje bomlungisi posing in front of his houses with the swimming pools. That's not a revolutionary.
No, not at all. And another thing, why do you think the political leaders in Swaziland are so afraid of forming the GNU? Do you think they're incompetent? Do you think that
One, I
what's
think
the
they just
matter?
don't understand what a GNU is. And two, they are regional in perspective. They don't understand how things get done internationally. Even after posting this thing about the GNU, yes, in Myanmar, and the very fact the government of the GNU of Myanmar does not include the current military junta government. Swazis don't understand that. They think a GNU is going to include Bomangolo. Like,
Can you, yeah, Monty, can you really break down Limboleo? Because one of the guys, because President Galzel had a lot of speakers today and who were really talking, like they're claiming that we are pushing the GNU down their throat. It's like we're forcing it down their throat. We are actually selling it, and
No,
obviously,
we're selling it. We've been selling it for the last
and
3
they're
years. We're
complaining
not
about the
pushing it
tone.
down people's throats. The
The,
Swazis now want a GNU. I mean, I get a barrage of inboxes. Swazis want the GNU. They say, Monty, we never thought about this, but now we see that this is the way forward. Let us pumelelis, GNU. We now understand you. Many, many Swazis, and some South Africans, even in leadership positions. Now, Julius Malema are talking about the GNU because the GNU is what you need when in times of crisis and in times of emergencies. We have an emergency in Swaziland. We need to close this case on Makosetiva very, very soon. And the advantage of a GNU in Swaziland, there are many things that we still need to settle. Makosetiva controls the full state machinery. What are we going to do with the military, with the police force, with Botibi or Botisuga? So are we going to leave all those in King Swati's hands? I doubt. So we need to iron out those issues and take those state assets back to the people of Swaziland. And how are you going to do that? Via a GNU.
And all, on that note, what do you think? So what are we going to do? Because no one has actually come up with the plan. Because now I understand, because previously we had forgotten, Wisbobakati Namtandeni had gone into prison advocating for an elected prime minister. But now, because we're asking for a way forward, Swalima has come forward that they are still standing on the on the approach of an elected prime minister who has full executive powers and who will elect his own.
But that will never happen. That will never happen.
We know that.
The problem, that will never happen. They don't understand that King Mswati as king will remain above the constitution. There's no way they can scale down his powers. And he is going to be in control of 3 branches of government. And he's going to have the power to sack the prime minister and also disband parliament. So he remains where he is today. So you cannot challenge him like Prince Charles in Great Britain, King Charles in Great Britain. You cannot challenge him civilly and criminally. But the distinction is that they self-censor, they self-control. They're beyond reproach in Great Britain. They've been raised from birth not to interfere with the government, but they are there in case of emergency to fire the prime minister if they have to. And they have to explain to the people why they're firing the prime minister and disbanding parliament. Those powers are reserved, and they're kept in reserve. In Swaziland, King Mswati, the way he's corrupt and criminally oriented, he's not beyond reproach. He's going to disband parliament anytime that they deny him money to go and splurge and spend like he always does. So the parliament will continue to be his rubber stamp. And also he's going to fire the prime minister, whoever is there. And they're going to be accountable to him as head of state and king. If you want to remain a kingdom. If you want to remain a kingdom, then you have no, you have no freedom. Makosetiva will continue to do what he's doing. So I don't understand why they just want a prime minister. They don't understand the Westminster system in Great Britain, that King Charles cannot be challenged civilly or criminally. So, but he's not a criminal. He's beyond reproach because he's been raised like that. They've raised from birth. They're taken to very good schools and they are trained not to interfere with government. Makosetiva, no. He's corrupt. You are not going to change anything. So you're going to have your prime minister that's going to report to Makosetiva, and when Makosetiva does not want him, he's going to fire him. So where are we?
so that's basically the way forward. And can you explain to me, Monty, why do you think we went for Swalimo? I mean, we tried so. Is it because Swalimo's got a huge following, and we know
Swalimo has got a huge following. Kauzela has got the attention of Swazis, and they love him. That is a fact we cannot deny.
Okay, but then if you look at it, what type of people are we looking for to be part of the government of national unity? Do you think Swalimo has those people? Do you think they have they're competent enough? They have enough?
No, they've basically told us they don't want a GNU. So you can see that the problem is that they don't understand how the international community operates. Kauzela is from Swaziland. He's not international like you. He's not international like me. He's not international like Quinn. He's not international like Marcus. People like that. He's not international like Sue. So you have to have the international perspective to understand what a GNU is and how it operates and how other countries have used it effectively, like Myanmar. So if we don't have the basics, Solimo does not have the basics to understand what a GNU is and how it operates and what it means to the international community.
Do you
It
think
has
that
the
Monty? Do
international
you think
appeal.
they Monty? Do you
It
think
has
they
the
don't have the basis, or
they don't understand. They
do
don't
you, someone
understand.
has someone sat down and spoken? Because we have said it, you have said it over and
Yeah,
over again on your channel. But you know, there's something that we need to understand. Wisma Kositive is a dictator.
yeah,
He rules over Baswati. They have no voice. So
yeah,
it's easy for that type of culture to throttle down, to go down to everybody in Swaziland, where they think just because you're a leader, you dominate and you do whatever you want to do. Like
yeah.
we've seen with Pudemo. So do you think Swalimo people have been given a choice? I know that the thing is, it's like you don't. It's like we are fighting for Swalimo, and where is the question was: have we spoken to other political parties and other organizations? We have.
We have, yeah.
Uh-huh. And then why specific? Why are we going for Swalimo specifically? Are they that important? Is it
No, we
because we get?
went to everybody. But like I say again, I thought somebody like Kauzela, with the leadership that he has, would understand. But he didn't even show up to any of our 3 meetings because he has this attitude of Africa's big man mentality to think he's bigger than he is. And he has an ego. That's why he has lost his leadership team, and people have run away from him, trying to work with him because he's stubborn. It's his way or no way. So that's the problem.
And
He's
then
not
and then don't
internationally savvy.
sorry, Monty, can I say this? So how about Mlungis? Because remember we wrote to Mlungisi when this thing
Yeah,
started.
Tulane Masego, we wrote to him. He wrote to us back, and he
No,
refused the GNU.
Tulani Masego did not write back. He actually they spoke. I think he wrote back because that's
Yeah,
why
he
there's a
wrote back.
saved. I think he saves that document is on her folder somewhere.
Yeah,
And Tulani refused. He said he wasn't going to be part. He didn't want to be part
yeah.
of that. And
He
then
wanted a king. And then
Mlungisi
he ran to
Makai.
Lesotho to say he wants a king. I don't know the approach. They think that they can do this thing incrementally in stages. To first ask for a prime minister, and then somehow they're going to nudge Mswati out of the way.
Thank
And
you.
it's not gonna and
That's it.
it's not gonna happen that way.
Monte, that's where you got it. Do you think, say that again, where you
Yeah, they
think
think they're gonna do this thing in incremental stages. They're gonna first have a prime minister and eventually work their way up to Mswati. But it's not gonna play out like that because Mswati is above the law, is above the constitution. And he will continue to control the 3 branches of government with a prime minister that's going to report to him. And he is going to have the power to sack the prime minister. So, how do you get there? The only way to get there is via the international community. Because Chris Coons, Nabo Cory Booker, I've worked with them, the two. And who's this other one from South Carolina? Uh, Forget, I work with him as well. I've actually worked with 3 out of the 4 members who issued a statement on Swaziland. Yeah. So they have the power to tell them what. Now you need to step down. Swazis have approached us, they've presented legitimate grievances against you. We are going to pass an act like they did. They passed an act on Mayana GNU. Mayana GNU has
But
an
then
act.
that's what I'm saying. But they're not going to pass an act if we don't put our act together and
No,
do the
we don't.
presentation.
We have to approach them and present the cases to the United States Congress and Senate.
And Monte, on that note, even if we do the presentation, we still have to be persistent. It's not just one
Oh yeah.
presentation. There's
Oh
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of stuff that
But
will
the
come.
Americans are ready. The Americans are ready. Have been ready on Swaziland.
Right.
That's why an American ambassador can ask you inside the country of Mswati, where he's king, how are you going to run the government? What is the
So
way
Monte,
forward?
because we've spoken, because we spoke, sorry, because we've spoken to all the political parties. We don't need political parties for the government of national unity. Do we need them?
Not necessarily, but it carries more weight to say we have political formations, as well as the civil society, as well as the Council of Churches, as well as the backing of all of the Swazis. It has to be a diverse, it has to be a group that comes from the diverse spectrum of Swazi society. especially the prominent organizations like Bo Swaziland SNAT.
It's not
Yeah, like the
teachers, yeah, teachers
unions.
association,
Yeah, the Council of
nurses
Churches.
association.
Yeah, it has to be in civil society. It has to be a diverse cross section, because when Americans will see the logos, when we send them our positions,
And then let's say they
they will
refuse, like
know
for
it's the whole Swazi community. Then they
and
will
let's
know.
say they, because they've all refused, let's just accept what there's nothing wrong with accepting rejection is fine, and they've
Yeah,
rejected the government of national unity so far, and let's say the political parties have rejected it, then how do we get people with who can take part and take those positions, because it's we need people who know what they're doing, because
yeah,
it's a government. So for instance, let's say there's a political party that doesn't even have those people. They don't have nobody with a degree. They don't have anybody with a master's. They don't have anyone with experience in doing something.
yeah.
How about the Swazis?
It
Monty, there are Swazis
yeah,
that are not part of these political
yeah.
madness
Political formations. Yeah,
confusion. Mhm.
yeah. Then it becomes more challenging, but it can still be done. You can form a
Yeah.
GNU. You know, um, they we can get those Swazis and have it, because it's a starting point. Those who are willing to join the GNU, we can start it, and hopefully others will come in and join who are of prominent stature, who are leading political formations in Swaziland.
For instance,
Because
if we can get those professors at the university, those academic lab or walking
yeah,
professors,
yeah,
those,
people of stature. There's people like Reverend Mabuza, who's in NNLC. I can think of him. He has lived and studied and worked here in the United States. He understands how these things work. We've got a gentleman, Matsebula. I think he's in Australia. He's a member of
yeah,
Pudemo.
he's
Yeah,
in Australia,
so
but
he will understand
he's
because he's
Pudemo.
international. He's
No,
international. Yeah,
he's
but
Pudemo.
he's
I think
international in his perspective. I'm sure he would
yeah,
understand.
he is because he was apparently, I've heard he was with Masego in prison, and I
Yeah,
think someone spoke to him about the GNU, and
yeah.
I think I don't know why.
Even Mandla Hlachwayo, I mean, I can see through his readings, his
Oh, Monty,
writings,
yeah, he's a
that
very good
Mandla
reader. He looks
Hlachwayo
like
would
it.
get on board, and we would need him. There are people
Yeah,
out there. I mean, we
and they
just
were
have to,
yeah.
yeah,
Because Kubo Bonge, IB is the only one who's actually embraced it. Not that I'm not saying he didn't understand, but he gave us that portion, that part. Which
yeah.
okay, I see the end.
IB understands it. IB understands it. Yeah,
But
where I
then
differ with IB is when it also goes along with some of those people who want a king and just a prime minister. He says it's going to have a negotiated political settlement
I
with
think
King Swat.
that's the United Front thing, because you know how we support Sodimo even if we don't agree with what they're doing.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
support them even if we don't really agree with what they're doing, because it's
No,
called.
anybody that's a Swazi that wants democracy and change will work with them. Even
So,
if they don't understand the GNU and all, we're gonna persist in our message to say this is the way to go. There's no other way. Like that's why I'm calling Solimo. Tell us what's the roadmap forward. If you don't want the GNU, give us the roadmap.
okay, I want.
Respond to the United States ambassador. If a
Yeah,
GNU was in place, I can tell you we'll be very far.
oh, definitely, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, we'll be
Monte,
very far.
sorry, I know that because I'm talking to. My apologies. I wanted to say, because there's a question that's coming up. They said something like it's not the right time for the GNU to be formed. What do you have to say on that?
Okay, how do you move forward without a GNU? Like I said, a GNU, that's where the delegation is going to come from, to come and present the grievances. The GNU is going to get the attention of the international community. Okay, you need leverage. You're going to get leverage via European Union and the United States government, Congress and Senate. So you can say it's not the time for the GNU. Then how do you move forward without a GNU? You need the GNU to get the attention of the international community, to show that you're showing readiness to govern, you have a proper agenda, you've thought out what you need, how you need to run the country. That's how you get. That's how Myanmar is going to get. They're going to get the 500,000
Yeah.
that they're asking from the United States because they're all together as one, speaking with one voice against the military junta government. That is what Swazis need, to speak with one voice, a powerful body that will come here and present legitimate grievances to the United States government, as well as Great Britain and all these places. So unless you have that vehicle, then how do you get up? How do you, the Mangos they're not going to get their attention.
But that was one of the excuses. I'm just bringing up the excuses that I had, and there's another one.
Myanmar formed it to find the military junta. So what makes you think you can't form it now? So you can push, because that's how you're going to get to the US and get the attention that you need and get the pro-democracy advocates here in America. And you can address them and you come and present formal issues. And they're the ones who are going to then deal with them, Swati. And now you have leverage. You can force them, Swati, to do what you want him to do, to step down or to come and have a dialogue with you that they say they want. I don't even know what they want a dialogue for with such a character as King Mswati.
So, Monty, another thing, oh God, I forgot. There's another question that I'll ask you. And so, okay, that was another excuse that it's not time for it yet. And like you said,
for it yet. What do you do in the interim? So what do you do in the interim? You can't protest. Mswati is going to shoot you. Mswati is armed to the teeth. He's spending 1.4 billion on average annually. So he's going to crush you. You're going to go there and demonstrate and do whatever. Okay. Your so-called SADC, they are not going to force Mswati in any way because they don't have the power. They don't have the teeth to bite. So he must just face the reality. South Africa, for many, many years, they struggled, the ANC and all of those people. But they finally got the attention of the civil rights community in the United States. And that's how the Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act of 1986 was passed. That brought the South African government to its knees. You have to go to the powers that be. You can't hang around with titulous folk in your region.
But Monty,
you see, Hama is with Mswati. You see, Ramaphosa is with Mswati. You see, HH of Zambia is with Mswati.
Right. Yeah, we're live. Free Swaziland movement here. Right, Mswati.